إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال الله عز وجل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. صدق الله العظيم. أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah. We praise Him, we ask for His help, and we seek His forgiveness in all the mistakes that we've made throughout the past year and throughout our lives. As Muslims, we declare that nobody deserves to be worshipped besides Allah, the one and only true God. And we declare that Muhammad was the last and final prophet and messenger that has been sent for my guidance, your guidance, and the guidance of all people until the end of time. Brothers and sisters, the vast majority of us are fasting today. It's the month of Ramadan. And what's happening is that we're avoiding food and drink and intimacy during the daytime, and sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult. But what if somebody told you that you're wasting your time? What if somebody told you that all this food and drink that you're giving up, the fact that you skip lunch, the fact that you're thirsty, you're working, you're moving, and you can't even take one sip of water in the summer, what if somebody told you that you're wasting your time and you're not getting any benefit from this? You're probably thinking, these people, the Islamophobes telling us this. What if the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told you that you're wasting your time while fasting? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in an authentic hadith narrated in At-Targhib wa Tarhib, he said, رُبَّ صَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعِ. There might be a person who is fasting and they will gain nothing from their fasting except hunger. Meaning the only thing this person got from their fasting is the fact that they got hungry, they got thirsty, they got nothing else. They did not learn any self-control. They did not learn any self-discipline. They got no reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing. And you think, wait a minute. The Prophet is telling me that? How could it be? Because Allah told us to fast. And if we're fasting, we should be get reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why wouldn't we get the reward if we're avoiding what we're supposed to avoid? This is the way sometimes we look at fasting. Did I not eat? Yes, check. Did I not drink? Check. Did I avoid intimacy with my spouse? Check. Okay, my fast counts. That's from a purely legal perspective. And the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that there are people out there who are doing these three things and their fasting doesn't even do anything for them. It's not doing anything for them because they were not fasting the proper way. They were not fasting completely even though they got the three check boxes off. And then he said, وَرُبَّ قَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ قِيَامِهِ إِلَّا السَّهَرِ. That might be a person who is standing up for prayer at night and he gains nothing from his standing except fatigue. He just gets tired, that's it. So you're praying Taraweeh, you came to the masjid, everything's going there, and you're moving around and just all you get is a little bit tired. Because standing for a long time in Taraweeh prayer makes you a little bit tired. That's why people kind of bounce around and start doing some other interesting things, right? So what's going on? The Prophet ﷺ is telling us that the superficial level of just doing the physical actions is not sufficient for you to say or for you to think that you fulfilled the actual purpose behind what you were supposed to be doing. So how is it that someone can be fasting, avoid the three things they're supposed to be avoiding, and yet their fasting is not counting for them? The Prophet ﷺ continues in another hadith and gives us some things which will break the purpose of our fast. Some things which will ruin the reward of our fasting and make our fasting either nullified completely, or maybe make our fasting only count as 25% or only count as 50%. And every single one of us, we're giving up, we're putting in effort. We're waking up early in the morning, we're eating dinner late at night, We're putting in effort. If you put your effort in, you want 100% out of that. You want 100% reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what are some of the things we can do? I want to focus just on one. The Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari, that he said, "Man lam yada' qawl az-zur," whoever does not give up false speech, wal amal bihi, and acting upon these false things, wal jahl, and just ignorance and foolishness and just general being dumb, right? Just doing really dumb things in the month of Ramadan. He says, فَلَيْسَ لِلَّهِ حَاجَةٌ أَن يَضَعَ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ. Allah has no need for this person to give up their food and give up their drink. See, it's coming back down to Allah doesn't need you to give up food and drink. If you're going to go and start backbiting people, gossiping with other people, you're going to start telling lies about other people, you're in business and you're going to lie to people while you're fasting. And you do the 3 check marks. I didn't eat, I didn't drink, and I didn't have intimacy. My fast should count. But you lied to that person when you were signing them up for some contract. You lied to that person when you were trying to sell them a car. You went and you started gossiping and backbiting against your family members. You started gossiping and backbiting against your friends. The Prophet ﷺ says, what are these three check marks are not going to give you the entire reward for fasting if you're not able to control your tongue. So the reminder for us today is that fasting is not just about these 3 things. These are the 3 fundamentals. These are the 3 things that are like the basis for fasting, but they're not sufficient. They're necessary, but they're not sufficient alone. One of the other things we need to really fast from is not just food and drink and intimacy. We need to be fasting from nonsense. We need to be fasting with our tongues, fasting with our mouths, making sure we're not spitting out words that we should not be saying as Muslims in the first place. The month of Ramadan is an opportunity to correct those things. We have an opportunity to clean out this mouth from all the things that have been accumulating in our hearts, and now they're starting to come out in our tongues. So what's the first thing we can work on as Muslims? The first thing we can work on is avoiding foul language, avoiding bad words. Those type of words that people use, all the 4-letter words and the 5-letter words and all of that, it's become part and parcel of our society today. It's so difficult to avoid. Almost everyone is using this language. You will find politicians, not in public but in private, they use the same thing. You will find school teachers, college professors. Sometimes they'll let one go in their class. Even high school teachers now, they'll even let a bad word go in their class, and it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. It used to be 20 years ago, you say, you know what, these rap songs, they're using bad words. And these rock songs, they're using bad words. And these rated R movies, they're using bad words. It's changed now. It's not like that anymore. Now it's literally just across the board. You go in some news outlets, they'll go and use the same thing. You go to some of the, you go to just a basic novel, even for teenagers, same thing. You'll even find some, something in a lower teenager realm, same thing. It's become almost something that is acceptable practice, and it's not considered to be something bad anymore, right? So, but as Muslims, we should not be using this language. We need to make sure that our tongues are clean. If someone cuts us off on the road, the first thing that should come out of your mouth is Subhanallah, or Alhamdulillah, or Astaghfirullah, or whatever. Just don't use the other wording that you're using, because it means that you've been programmed to think this way. It means that you've been consuming so much media, or you've been around so many friends that are using this language that it's become second nature to you. And the month of Ramadan is the time to clean that out. Clean it out of your heart, and then it'll be cleaned out of your tongue. And some people, they've kind of say, well, I don't really use those words. I use other words. I say freak, or I say shiznik, or I say, other words that are representation of the other words that we shouldn't be using in the first place. And that should also be avoided, because people understand what you're alluding to. People understand what you're saying. It's like, drinking non-alcoholic beer, which is not haram in and of itself, but pretending like it is, and like sitting with the guys and imitating the Coors Light commercial and say, we're so cool, we're going to hold the bottle the same way drunk people hold the bottle. That's something that a Muslim should avoid doing. If you like the taste, drink it at home privately, okay, fine. It's not alcoholic, so fine. But don't try to imitate things which other people are doing. They're doing forbidden things, they're doing sinful things. We shouldn't try to imitate those people, especially not in public. So when it comes to these things, we can clean out our tongue. That's number one. Stop using foul language. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates foul language. That should be more than sufficient for us to understand why a Muslim should never be using even a single bad word. Not a single bad word. And unfortunately, I see so many Muslims, I see even sometimes imams slipping and using certain words, language when they get very excited or something like that. We all need to work on it. Every single one of us, we need to work on it because that's the culture in which we live. The second thing we need to work on is gossiping and backbiting. And this is something that afflicts everyone. Really, it's so easy to fall into. If you had to commit another sin, you wanted to go and, commit fornication. You wanted to go commit adultery. You actually have to, take a girl or take a guy out and kind of do some dating thing or whatever, or maybe go on a Craigslist, whatever. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but you have to put some effort into it, right? But when it comes to backbiting people, it's so easy. You just open your mouth, let it slip. It takes literally just a few seconds. It's not difficult at all. It's not difficult at all, and that's why it's one of the most common sins in our society, because it's so easy. Your tongue is easily available to go and speak about whoever you want. Man, that person's so short, that person's so fat, man, that brother can't even jump on the basketball court, man, if I paid him $1 million, he couldn't have made that free throw. All those statements that you make is called backbiting. Why? Because the person is not there to defend himself or herself and say, you know what, hey, you're not recommending anything to that person to help them improve. You're just talking bad about them behind their back. And that's a problem. That's equivalent, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described that as eating your dead brother's flesh. Meaning it's one of the most disgusting things you can do, because you're stabbing your brother in the back, you're killing him, and then you're eating his flesh, cannibalism on top of all of that. So we really need to work on our backbiting, especially in this month. Everything you wanted to change about your life, if you can't do it in this month, it's not going to happen outside of this month. This is the month where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you help. And the fasting actually gives you help, even though it makes you, maybe you think you're a little bit more irritable, it actually helps you. It makes you a little bit stronger. And that's why sometimes we feel a little bit weaker. We feel like, I'm fasting, man. Don't mess with me, right? You mess with me while I'm fasting, I'm more sensitive while I'm fasting. So it's actually more difficult to control these things, but we need to realize that the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month compensates and overcompensates for whatever difficulty or whatever struggle we're going through while we're fasting. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith narrated by Imam Muslim, he said, إِذَا أَصْبَحَ أَحَدُكُمْ يَوْمًا صَائِمًا. If any of you starts the day fasting, meaning if you're fasting, he says, فَلَا يَرْفُثْ وَلَا يَجْهَلْ. Don't engage in any indecency and don't engage in any foolishness. فَإِنِ امْرُؤٌ شَاتَمَهُ أَوْ قَاتَلَهُ. If somebody comes and tries to, or insults you, someone comes and insults you and you're fasting, or tries to fight you and you're fasting, right? What do? What would you normally do, right? What you'd normally do, somebody insults you, goes, man, you mess with me, I'm going to mess with you. You talk about my family, oh, watch what I can do with your family. That's the normal human instinct, because we all have a sense of honor. We all want to respond back. And if you have you're a little bit clever, or you're quick-witted, or you have a sharp tongue, you can respond back pretty good. And you can get them, you get me, I'm going to get you too. But in the month of Ramadan, it's totally different. Especially in the month of Ramadan. As Muslims, generally, we shouldn't respond back anyways. But in the month of Ramadan, you have to be extra careful. Somebody insults you, somebody pushes you, someone tries to fight with you. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, فَلْيَقُلْ إِنِّي صَائِمْ إِنِّي صَائِمْ. He said that person should say, I'm fasting. I'm fasting. Now what does that mean? It doesn't mean you're telling the person, hey man, you insulted me, I'm fasting. So they'll say, oh yeah, I totally didn't realize. You're fasting, I wouldn't have insulted you. I'll insult you after Ramadan is over. That's not what it means. You're not saying it just for the other person. You're saying it for yourself. Because sometimes it's so difficult, you're avoiding food, you're avoiding drink, you're going through all these things, and now you're getting to the point where you're a little bit irritable. A few hours before iftar, you're about to break your fast. Fasting's getting a little bit difficult. Your stomach is kind of growling. You're looking forward to the food, and someone comes and insults you right there. What do? You get more irritable, you're ready to respond, but you have to say out loud to yourself so you can hear it. Like when you pray sometimes you whisper, you move your lips so you can hear yourself, it helps you concentrate. You say out loud to yourself, I'm fasting. I'm fasting. You have to say it to an extent that you can hear it yourself and you go, whoa, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to try and fight you back. You push me, I'm not going to try and push you back. I'm just going to walk away. And it's okay. The idea of honor, I've been dishonored and all that, especially in Ramadan, don't want to deal with this stuff. I want to focus on pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, that comes back to verbal response, controlling our tongues. Someone wants to insult you, someone wants to make fun of you, someone wants to talk bad about you, don't try to respond, especially in the month of Ramadan. And that's where you develop self-control. That's where you make your fasting, when you check tick those three check boxes, that's where you can also say, if I've been able to control my tongue, then I'm closer to having one of those 100% fasts, those A+ fasting. Not the C-, not the D-, not the 30% of reward or the no reward whatsoever. Inshallah ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all 100% A+ fastings and help us to control our tongue and control our desires in this month and after this month. Ameen. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'ilil muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ba'd. First of all, if we could just have everyone scoot up, inshallah. There's some people standing, so if we could just move in. There's enough space here. So we talked today about the importance of guarding our tongue and fasting with our tongue in addition to the other three things, of avoiding food, drink, and intimacy. Right? These three things are the foundation of fasting, but the underlying purpose is to teach us self-control. And if we are able to control ourselves in the big things, we should also be able to control ourselves in the other things as well. Otherwise, fasting is not working properly for us. And the Prophet ﷺ warned us and he said, there are people who might be fasting and they gain nothing from their fasting except hunger. So, with that said, remember that your tongue is like a weapon. It's almost like a lethal weapon. It's like a gun almost. And if you have a gun, outside of all the gun control laws we're talking about right now, if someone had a gun, there's a safety on a gun. And you have to disengage that safety before you can fire. Your tongue also has a safety. And that safety is your mouth, the fact that it actually closes and you're not able to always speak. So that what you should do is think for a few seconds, at least a few seconds, every time before you say something. Just think and say, is this something that is going to please Allah, or is something that's going to displease Allah, or is neutral? The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever believes in Allah and the last day should either say something good or be quiet. There's only two options. You have three logical options, choose two, but don't choose the other one where you say something bad. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our tongues. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our fasting, to accept our prayers at night, and accept our prayers throughout the month of Ramadan. O Allah, accept from us all of our deeds in this month of Ramadan. O Allah, forgive us for our sins. O Allah, let us make changes and long-lasting good habits in this month that we can carry out throughout the rest of the year. O Allah, allow us to benefit from these last 10 nights of Ramadan that are coming up. Allow us to find the night of Laylatul Qadr and reward us for that. O Allah, help us and guide us at all times and in all things we do. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. I have quite a few announcements, so please remain seated. These are very important announcements pertaining to the month of Ramadan. First of all, please donate to IAOC, to help IAOC. Donations have actually been lower this year than they have been in the previous years. And we've been expanding a lot of projects which people have been seeing. So please be generous with your donations. Number two, Zakatul Fitr is $10 per person this year. And there should be some boxes outside that you can distribute. It's very important to give your fitrah or your Zakatul Fitr early so we can make sure that it's going to be distributed to the people who are in need. And don't wait until the day of Eid, because it makes it very difficult to distribute it to them on the day of Eid, right? While people are actually trying to get the benefit from that. Number three, we have a community iftar this Saturday. So we have a fast-breaking community event this Saturday. The food is going to be free and everyone is welcome to join. So this Saturday at fast-breaking time, about 8:07. Number 4, Eid prayer will be at the Honda Center in Anaheim. So at the Honda Center, we will have Eid prayers, and we will give you more information about the timings and the parking and everything next Friday. Or check out our newsletter. We'll be emailing that out. Number 5, every night beginning this Saturday night, because it's the last 10 nights, and Saturday night, Sunday morning, we will have every night from 1:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. we will be having qiyam program. Qiyam program means like prayers at night. So we'll be praying 12 rak'ahs, and the witr prayer will be followed by that, and then we'll be having a suhoor. Suhoor meaning that we'll be having the early morning breakfast for the entire community who shows up for those night programs, inshallah ta'ala, and even those who come a little bit later and come for the suhoor anyways. Number 6, we have a Hajj program with Sheikh Muhammad Faqih and Sheikh Muhammad Mani from IAOC. There's limited spaces, so check out our website for more information. You can sign up for Hajj. So if you're thinking about doing Hajj, or you need to do Hajj because it's time, you have the money, you can afford it, you need to go for Hajj, you can consider going through IIOC. 2 more announcements and then I'm done, and these are really important. One of them is IIOC extension. So if you haven't heard already, IIOC, this masjid, we actually just bought a new building down the street in Fullerton, just on the other side of the street, going towards Cal State Fullerton. That building is about a 2-minute drive from here. We're calling it the extension, the IAOC extension. That is a place where we're going to be holding educational classes. We're actually planning on making a cafe, like a Muslim or Islamic cafe, whatever you want to call it, which is like a hangout for youth. They can go play some games, get some coffee, just kind of like a space where they can be there. You know, our space is thin. We overuse this multi-purpose room. It's become a multi-purpose room, and we don't really have that much space. So alhamdulillah, we have acquired that building, and we want people to come and check it out and see what potential potential things we have in that space, inshallah. So we're going to be having tours and presentations about what this space is going to be used for this Saturday and Sunday at 1:30, 2:30, and 3:30. So grab one of these papers out there and try and stop by either Saturday or Sunday. You have a few options. Drive over there and come and attend. And the last announcement is that we've been running a school here called the College of Islamic Studies, which I've been directing. And for 3 years, alhamdulillah, we've had over 1,000 students. We've taught so many classes, alhamdulillah, and we've really grown beyond capacity. So what we're doing is now, number 1, our classes are going to be moving to the extension building, so we can accommodate more classes. And number 2, we've changed the program now, and our program is going to be called California Islamic University. And it's going to be a full-time program, and we're going to be offering bachelor's degrees in Islamic theology, or Islamic law and theology. If you want more information about that, check out our tables outside. You can write down your information and we'll send you more, and you can check out our website, inshallah ta'ala. Wa aqimus salah.
Allahu Akbar.